Chapter 11th, transports in plants, transportation in plants. Transports nothing but transportation in plants. Generally, plants, what will be transport from soil to upper surface of the plant parts, minerals, salts, ions, various kinds of minerals, salts, ions. These will be transported from underground soil to various parts of the plant through vascular tissue. That's maybe phloem. That's maybe phloem. Already we discussed phloem, xylem. So that is only we will discuss in this chapter. Okay. So in this chapter, it is completely dry topic. Okay. So that's all. See here, definition. First, transports in plants. So definition, transport of substances that occur through the vascular system is called transportation. Okay. See, definition. First, transporting plants. First definition, transport of substances. Substances in the sense what? Carbohydrates, proteins, minerals, amino acids, salts, etc. These are all considered as a substances. Transport of various kinds of substances that occurs through the vascular system. Vascular system in the sense what? Xylem, phloem, xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem. Vascular system means what? Through xylem and phloem. So various kinds of the substances are transport in the plants. This phenomenon is called translocation. Translocation, transportation, these are all same in different synonyms. Transportation, transfer, translocation, that's all. So that is the first definition. Simply here, what is the definition? Transport of various kinds of substances that occurs through the vascular system. Vascular system means what? Already we have discussed it. Okay, so xylem and phloem. So these two are present in plants. This phenomenon is called translocation. Next here, next, means of transport. Means of transport means generally transportation occurs in various means. Okay, so what type of those transport systems? Okay, that is what we have to see this. So that is first one is diffusion. See here, everybody are aware about diffusion. It is very simple phenomenon. Already you might have studied in your lower classes. Okay, diffusion. It is an important process. Diffusion, it is an important process. See, in which the molecules of a gas are solute, move from an area of higher concentration to the area of lower concentration. SEMA here. So it is an important process in which molecules of a gas molecules are solute molecules move from an area of higher concentration, to the point of lower concentration till both the concentrations becomes equal. Okay, so this is called diffusion. Simply, it is the definition of diffusion. It is an important process in which the molecules of a gas are solute molecules of a gas molecules are solute, move from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. For example, if we will see scent bottle, you take gas, we cannot leak it. Okay, scent bottle you take from your particular place, if you press it, so in that term, so whatever maybe the molecules are present, those molecules are distributed from higher concentration to the point of lower concentration till both the concentrations are equal. That phenomenon is called diffusion. Like that, in plants, gas is not transported. Okay, gas is exchange takes place. So generally given here, Okay, in plants, solutes, minerals, salts, ions are transported. So actually it is a passive random movement, slowly sudden movement, random sudden movement, which occur when there is a difference in the concentration or there is a diffusion gradient. See here, diffusion process when takes place. So which occurs? It is a slowly sudden takes place, sudden movement, which occurs when there is a difference in the concentration. That all I said here, differentiation from. So this is a diffusion process. In this one, diffusion happens. It is A, it is B, you consider. Here, more concentration was there. Here, less was there. In that conditions only, diffusion process takes place. See, when there is a difference in the concentration or there is a diffusion gradient. Okay, so it is concentration or diffusion gradient is different. Diffusion substances are diffusion gradient means substances, diffusion substances are different. In such cases only diffusion process takes place when the molecules get equally distributed. So see here more molecules are there. Sorry, in B more molecules are there. A less are there. So through this, through this, these are all will be distributed. So automatically both the concentrations becomes equal. Until both the concentrations become equal, diffusion process takes place. See, when the molecules get equally distributed throughout the chamber or system or transport tubes, wherever in our body also diffusion process takes place. Okay, so no gradient exists. No gradient exists means what? So locally some factors will be there. Some factors will disturb the diffusion process. That is what? Gradient of concentration. Against the concentration gradient. Okay, see here. Against the, see here high concentration. Towards the concentration molecules, diffusion process takes place. Against the concentration gradient does not take place. Okay, so like that some factors if are exist around diffusion, so diffusion process does not occur. During favorable conditions, only diffusion process takes place. So here see, no energy expenditure takes place in diffusion. So actually any energy no need. See, for example, here one example we will see here. What was there? Here copper sulfate is there. It is copper sulfate. Copper sulfate. It is copper sulfate. Okay. This is copper sulfate. So copper sulfate slowly it is water. So when we put copper sulfate, slowly this copper sulfate is dissolved. Here the copper sulfate concentration is less. Here copper sulfate concentration is more. Towards the concentration gradient, so copper sulfate is dissolved and equally distributed throughout the beaker. Like this, even in our home, we can see one experiment. Take a fist of sugar and put here around the sugar concentration will be more. Here, the sugar concentration is less. After half an hour, so after 1 hour or 2 hours, if you will go and see the taste from this side, this side, this side. So from where is we will taste the water, it will become a sweet. Okay, so what happens here? Diffusion occurs towards concentration gradient, from that particular substrate. Okay, so for this process, no energy expenditure takes place. Any external energy does not take place. Diffusion is a slow process and not dependent on any living system. It is a slow process and it does not dependent on any living system. From the living organisms, any external source of energy does not require. This is called diffusion. Okay, so even this diffusion experiment in biology practical also we will see. So here next. Next, come to the point. Diffusion rate is affected by the following. So diffusion favorable conditions only diffusion successfully happens. Some conditions, the rate of diffusion is affected. So what are the factors affect the diffusion? That is, see, gradient of concentration. See, I said already. So here, a side or at the bottom or another side. In these sides, the concentration will be more. Here, the concentration should be less. In that cases only, diffusion process takes place. Here is more concentration. Here, less concentration means does not take place. Okay. So from the substrate or the material which we are using, that must be a concentrated. Okay. Gradient of concentration. In concentration gradient, if it is changed, diffusion does not take place. Permeability of the membrane separating them. So permeability of the membrane separating them. See here, generally, some cases, actually for diffusion, permeability, any membrane no need. If membrane is there, in between these two, it will keep one membrane. Then diffusion does not take place. Through these molecules does not move, does not enter to this, does not enter to this. From B to A molecules does not move because this membrane is prevents the moving of gas or molecules or whatever. So this is called semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane. For diffusion, any semi-permeable membrane does not require. Okay, already we discussed here. Any living and not dependent on any living system already we discussed. Okay, so any membrane, if it is there, diffusion process is disturbed. Temperature and pressure. Temperature and pressure. So temperature and pressure will affect the diffusion rate. See here, if more and more temperature, for example, in our body, only diffusion process takes place. After digestion, diffusion process takes place. Normal body temperature 36 degrees centigrade, 36 degree centigrade temperatures only, our body metabolic activities are efficient. So diffusion also one kind of a metabolic. So beyond this 39 degrees centigrade temperature is maintained. That means 100 degrees centigrade temperature or 101 degree not Fahrenheit. Sorry, 101 Fahrenheit temperatures is maintained. So degrees when we are mentioning, at that time we will use 36 like that. When we are mentioning Fahrenheit, we can use 100. So when our body temperature is 100 degree, 101, and in that cases, our body metabolic activities are disturbed. So at high temperatures, when our body pressure is more and more, in our body pressure is more and more, in that cases also. For example, see here only, if this concentrate copper sulfate I have used, if this copper sulfate has more pressure, then diffusion process does not take place. So the pressure should be less than normal body pressure only. So diffusion process takes place. Okay, that's all. Even in plants also like that only. So that's all. This is one type of transportation. Next, facilitated diffusion. So these transport systems already we discussed on 8th chapter. There what we discussed here also same. Transport system in plants, animals is same, but they may use different materials, but the transporting substances are same. So here, whether you remembered or not, I don't know. Facilitated diffusion means the diffusion of substances with the help of special carrier proteins in the cell membrane. Already when I said, see here, cell membrane, this is called cell membrane. So here the lipid bilayer, I said lipid bilayer, here lipid bilayer, these are called, this is called cell membrane. Okay, so the living organisms cell is covered by membrane, that is called cell membrane and plasma membrane. It is made up of a lipid. So the lipids are arranged in bilayer. So some molecules or some substances are not transported across the cell membrane without using any carrier proteins. Okay, So if we wanted to transport them, see, facilitated diffusion means the diffusion of some substances with the help of special carrier proteins. In these cell membrane, there are special carrier proteins are present. Those are called, already I said 2 times I said, glycoporins. So the glycoporin is accommodated in the cell membrane. It helps to transport substances across the cell membrane, across cell membrane. I said it is already. Okay. So see here, like this way, here glycoporins will be there. These acts as a protein materials. So these are glycoproteins, glycoporins. So these are called carrier proteins. So this carrier protein transports substances from inside to outside and outside to inside. Okay, that's all. So without expenditure of ATP energy, so for facilitated diffusion, energy does not require. Okay, so carrier proteins only helps in transportation of various kinds of substances. So even diffusion rate depends upon number of factors. So facilitated diffusion also, like diffusion process, it is also depends upon number of factors. Number of factors. So those factors are, first, size of substances. What are those factors? First factor, size of substances. See, whatever maybe the substances are transporting, those substances size. If generally facilitated diffusion occurs through cell membrane, it is the cell membrane. Cell membrane. So smaller molecules only diffuse faster. Size of the substances. What are the sizes of substances? Smaller substances diffuse faster. For example, this much sized particles through cell membrane cannot transport. Cannot transport. Okay, so smaller substances only. See here, smaller substances only. See, like this way, minute particles only through the cell membrane transport. Okay, so it is sizes of the substance is one of the factor. If the larger size particles, they cannot transport. They cannot transport. Smaller substances diffuse faster. Smaller substances are diffuse faster through cell membrane, like this way. Next is solubility of substances in lipids. Next one is what? So solubility of substances. Next one is the solubility of substances. See, whatever may be the substances, whatever may be the smaller substances, those substances are should be dissolved in the lipids. Those substances are should be dissolved in the lipids. Lipids are made up of by cell membranes. Okay, so those substances must be soluble in lipids. Next, since lipids are the major components of the cell membranes, already we discussed cell membranes are made up of by lipids, proteins, carbohydrates. The ratio of the lipids, proteins, carbohydrates varies in various cell membranes. Already we discussed that. So since lipids are the major component of the cell membrane, substances soluble in lipids diffuse through the membrane faster. Whatever may be the substances. So if those substances are diffused in the lipid, diffuse in the lipid, if they are diffused in the, if they are diffused in the lipids, then they are substances soluble in lipids diffuse through the membrane faster. Through this membrane diffuse faster. If larger substances, these are unable to soluble in the lipids and unable to transport through the cell membrane. Okay, so these are the affect the facilitated diffusion. Okay, so here diffusion rate depends upon the number of factors. So diffusion means what? Both the factors are affected by these. Okay, that's all. Okay, ma, that's all. Next here, one more. Next topic is next topic. See, porins and aquaporins. See here, next porins and aquaporins in the cell membranes. So another type of protein materials are also present. Those are, see here, porins and aquaporins. So first of all, let us see porins, then aquaporins. See, porins are the proteins. Porins are the proteins that form huge pores in the outer membranes of the plastids. See here, porins. Porins are proteins that form the huge pores, big pores in the outer membranes of the plastids. See, plastids have outer membrane. Plastids has outer membrane. Mitochondria has outer membrane. Some bacteria also has outer membrane. Okay, so plastids, mitochondria, and some bacteria, outer membrane has huge pores. Huge pores. Those huge pores are called porins. See here, one huge pore will be, huge hole will be there. Huge hole will be there. Huge hole will be there. Okay, so like this way, huge holes will be there, like this, huge holes. These are called porins. Porins are proteins. These are porins. Porins are proteins that form huge pores, like this way, pores in the outer membrane of the plastids, mitochondria, some bacteria. So those pores, those porins allowing molecules up to the size of small proteins to pass through. See, before topic what we discussed, so if the smaller substances are there, those are diffuse faster. If those are dissolved in the lipid component, they will diffuse faster, we discussed. Okay, like that here. So porins are also protein substances. Those porins are proteins that form huge pores in the outer membrane of the plastid, mitochondria, and some bacteria. So those porins allowing molecules up to the small size proteins to pass through them, through these porins. Those are called porins. Next, aquaporins. 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 Next one is aquaporins are transport proteins that are present in cell membrane. Aquaporins also transport proteins. These are present in the cell membrane. They pick up a molecule from outside, then rotate and release the molecules inside the cell. The water channels in membrane are made up of 8 different types of aquaporins. Okay, 8 different types of aquaporins. See here. See here, aquaporins. See, aquaporins are see here. I have to draw a diagram like this way. Cell membrane like this way will be there. Okay, so here also like this way. Okay, so common will be there like that. So outside the cell, outside the cell, see here, outside the cell, there are some 8 different types of porins. 8 made up of 8 types of aquaporins. See, aquaporins are the transport proteins. These are all called aquaporins. These are also transport proteins. Transport proteins that are present in the cell membrane. So they pick up a molecule from outside. So aquaporins are present in the cell membrane. It is a cell membrane. Cell membrane, they are present. They pick up a molecule from outside. These are all the molecules from the outside. So from this direction, they will collect the molecules from outside, then rotate their direction. Immediately they will, from here only, they will rotate their direction and release the molecules inside, inside, inside the cell. The water channel in membrane are made up of 8 different types of aquaporins. Those aquaporins are responsible for the transportation of various kinds of proteins which are accommodated in the cell membrane. So that's all. See here. So for example, it is a cell, assume. So it is cell membrane. Cell is covered by cell membrane. Like this way, cell is covered by cell membrane. So in this one, various kinds of aquaporins are accommodated. Those aquaporins collect various kinds of materials from inside. They will collect and rotate their direction and release them inside. Molecules are released inside. Those are called aquaporins. So in cell membrane, there are 8 different types of aquaporins are present. That's all. Next one. Next transport system, that is passive symport. Passive symport and antipode. That is nothing but passive transport. See here, passive transport. Some carriers or transport proteins allow diffusion only if 2 types of molecules move together. See here, some carriers or some transport proteins in the cell membrane allow diffusion process only if 2 types of molecules move together. So 2 types of molecules, like this way, 2 types of molecules are moved together. Then the movement of molecules could be of through 3 types, depending upon their molecular movement. So one is called symport, another one is called antiport, another one is called uniport. So first of all, let us see symport. Symport. First one is symport. It refers to the movement of both the molecules crossing the membrane in the same direction. See, it is the membrane. It is the membrane. So it is called symport. 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 A symport. So it will move both the molecules. Both the molecules. Molecule A, molecule B. Both the molecules. Crossing the membrane. This is what cell membrane. This is what cell membrane. This is cell membrane. Crossing the membrane. Crossing the membrane in the same direction. Same direction means what? From one direction, from this side to this direction. Same direction. Okay. So that's all. So this is what? Carrier protein. Carrier protein. Through this carrier protein, so 2 types of molecules are moved across the membrane. Carrier proteins are present in the membrane. Through that carrier proteins and the membrane, so 2 types of molecules are moved in the same direction. That is called symport. Okay. Next, antiport. When the molecules move, see, when the molecules, this is carrier protein. When the molecules move in opposite direction, see, that is called antiport. Antiport. Antiport means what? One type of molecules move this direction, another type of molecules move in this direction. That is called, this is called A, this is called B. When the molecules move in opposite direction, one molecule goes inside, one molecule is coming outside. It is called antiport. So third one is uniport. Third one is uniport. Uniport. In uniport, what? When a molecule moves, so it is a carrier protein. When a molecule moves across the membrane, independent of other molecules. Independent means what? So in uniport, the word itself saying uni means only one type of molecules. Only 2 types of molecules are moved. 2 types of molecules are moved here, but A molecules are independent. Independently they are moved from inside to outside. B molecules are independently moved from inside to outside. That's why here B molecules they won't mention. Uniport. That means what? When a molecule moves across the membrane through carrier proteins, independent of other molecules. Okay, A molecule is not dependent on B molecules. B molecule is not dependent on A molecule. That's why it is called uniport. Okay, so this kind of movement is called passive symport, passive antiport. Passive symport, passive antiport. Passive uniport. Okay, this is called passive symport and passive antiport. So these are also occurs in cell membrane. It is also a kind of a transportation. Okay, that's all. Next, if we will see active transport. See here, active transport. If you will see about active transport, it is the movement of any substance through the cell membrane that requires energy. It is always against the concentration gradient, that is from lower concentration to the higher concentration. Simple, it is enough. This is actually active transport. In textbook, huge information given about that, but that much information only. So simple definition about active transport, it is. Okay, active transport. In this one, what? It is the movement of any substance, that's maybe a minerals, ions, salts, carbohydrates, proteins, whatever may be the substance. Those substances must be transported through the cell membrane. Either sides depends upon the situation, but that requires energy. On 8th chapter about this more information I said. Okay, that requires energy. Okay, so that requires energy. That energy is provided by the ATP, adenosine triphosphate. It is always occurs against the concentration gradient. Against the concentration gradient means what? From low to higher. Low to higher. From lower concentration to higher concentration, if we wanted to send any molecules, we have to provide additional energy. That energy in our body are in plants ATP. For example, overhead tanker, I said. From overhead tanker, sorry, motor will pump the water from lower concentration to the overhead tanker. So the motor provides energy. Okay, so for this example, a best example I said sodium ion and potassium ion pump. Okay, so depolarization, repolarization, I said. Na? So at that time, 3 sodium ions are goes outside, 2 potassium ions are comes inside. Depends upon the concentration gradients. Okay, so that's all. So here, this much information of active transport. These 3 types of means of transport is 3 types. That is diffusion, facilitated diffusion, passive transport, and active transport. Through these different types of transport systems, plants, animals, and different types of organisms, they will send molecules, substances in their body and maintain their system efficient. These are the means of transport. So with this today meeting session